Is duty-free shopping best in Hainan or Hong Kong? Although there are many famous brands, the lack of novelty and characteristics has been a hidden concern for tourism consumption in Hong Kong, China in recent years. Not only Hainan, but also its neighboring Macau Special Administrative Region in China, have shown a sudden rise in recent years with the development of new business formats. Starting from April 1st, non-local travelers will add 2 new pickup methods for duty-free shopping in Hainan, namely guaranteed pickup and purchase pickup for products that meet relevant standards. Previously, it has been frequently pointed out that the inconvenience of extracting goods from outlying islands, such as picking up goods at ports or mailing, has been upgraded, which is the latest policy to optimize the tax exemption policy for Hainan's outlying islands. On this basis, as a preparation for Hainan to launch the island-wide lockdown and build a free trade port, optimization measures such as off-island tax exemption to landing tax exemption will gradually come. After the implementation of the lockdown policy in 2025, Hainan, which will become a domestic and foreign island, will implement relevant regulatory policies of first-line liberalization and second-line regulation. Specifically, in the shopping consumption field closely related to ordinary consumers, this means that foreign goods can enter Hainan relatively freely and with zero tariffs. The relevant news has prompted relevant professionals in the tourism and consumption industries in Hong Kong, China to consider their development prospects. Due to the recent resumption of customs clearance with the mainland, the negative impact of the epidemic lockdown has not yet been fully eliminated. Is there any policy dividend in attracting consumers in Hong Kong, China, which has become a shopping paradise due to its tax exemption policy? What new ways can it face the competition of Hainan's Hong Kong plus Florida model? Benefiting from the inner circle of duty-free shopping industry, ordinary consumers may also face a sweet burden in the future, going to Hainan or Hong Kong. The New Deal in Hainan. In 2020, the overall plan for the construction of Hainan Free Trade Port pointed out that according to the different stages of Hainan Free Trade Port construction, zero tariff, low tax rate, and simple tax system should be implemented step by step. Zero tariff is considered an important institutional design for Hainan Free Trade Port. According to the plan, before the entire island is closed and put into operation, Hainan Free Trade Port will exempt enterprises from import tariffs, import value-added tax, and consumption tax on imported production equipment, operational vehicles, yachts, raw materials, and imported goods consumed by island residents. The so-called 1 negative, 3 positive, zero tariff list. To adopt models such as Hong Kong and Dubai to build Hainan into a free port, micro-level consumption is an important aspect. In fact, the relevant offshore tax exemption policy has been implemented since around 2011. In 2019, Hainan's offshore duty-free sales were only 13.6 billion renminbi. Due to the impact of the epidemic to some extent, mainland tourists who are unable to leave the country have changed from overseas purchases to Hainan purchases, which has brought new growth to their duty-free market development. Hainan has implemented a tax exemption policy for outlying islands since 2011. Affected by the epidemic, mainland tourists who are unable to leave the country have changed from overseas purchases to Hainan purchases, bringing new growth to their duty-free market development. After fully launching preparations for the island-wide customs closure operation, its construction of a free trade port is also expected to accelerate. Photographed by Jiao Jian, a journalist from Kaijing. By 2021, this number has increased by 84% year-on-year, achieving over 60 billion yuan. In terms of duty-free shopping, the number of people also increased by 73% year-on-year. According to the 14th Five-Year Plan, for the construction of an international tourism consumption center in Hainan province, by 2025, duty-free trade in Hainan's outlying islands will double. The related increment is not only related to the epidemic but also driven by policies. Since July 1, 2020, the annual duty-free shopping amount per person for Hainan Island tourists has been increased to 100,000 yuan. The exemption limit of 8,000 yuan per item has been cancelled. At the same time, the variety of products with limited single purchase quantity has also significantly decreased, and multiple popular products such as mobile phones and tablets have been added. This is considered the most drastic adjustment of Hainan's offshore tax exemption policy since its implementation in 2011. The sustainability of phenomenal growth constitutes the core test of whether Hainan can become a new shopping paradise. There is significant room for improvement in relevant policies, and it is also considered a stock area that needs further improvement in reform. For example, before this, the duty-free pickup method for Hainan outlying islands was mainly at airports, train stations, and docks, where consumers could only take their purchased items before departure. There is also a postal delivery method for tourists from outside the island. For Hainan Islanders, pickup points are set up in major duty-free stores. In addition to durable consumer goods such as mobile phones, sports equipment, sunscreen cosmetics, and other products that can be used immediately, the new approach of Just Get It is expected to bring new growth. According to relevant policies, the off-island duty-free goods that are currently picked up by the way of immediate purchase and immediate delivery mainly include 15 categories of goods such as cosmetics, perfume, bags, infant milk powder, etc. The number of immediate purchase and immediate delivery off the island is limited to 1 to 5 pieces each time. In addition, for duty-free goods purchased by outlying passengers with a unit price exceeding 50,000 yuan inclusive, before each departure, they can choose to pick up the goods through the guarantee and pickup method. For example, for a watch priced at 100,000 yuan, in the past, one could only choose to pick it up at the pickup point, return to the island for pickup, or send it by mail. After policy adjustments, outlying passengers who pay for shopping can pick up the goods on site, after paying a guarantee equivalent to import tax on imported goods to the customs. When they leave Hainan, they can check at the inspection points at the airport, train station, and port dock, and the guarantee deposit can be refunded once it is approved. After Hainan announced at the end of March that it would fully launch preparations for the island-wide customs closure operation, its construction of a free trade port is also expected to accelerate. In terms of policy system, multiple policy documents such as the 3.0 tariff lists, 15% income tax for enterprises and individuals, and duty-free processing of value-added goods for domestic sales will be accelerated in implementation. In fact, according to the overall plan for the construction of Hainan Free Trade Port, announced in 2020, before the closure and operation of Hainan Free Trade Port in 2025, a zero-tariff policy has been implemented, forming early gains. Exemption from import tariffs, import value-added tax, and consumption tax. According to the explanation of a relevant person in charge of the Ministry of Finance at the time, the relevant policies will be implemented specifically for residents and passengers on the island. For imported goods consumed by island residents, a zero-tariff positive list management will be implemented, allowing island residents to purchase duty-free goods. In addition, the policy of duty-free shopping for passengers on outlying islands will be significantly relaxed, and the amount of duty-free shopping will be increased. After the conditions are ripe and the island-wide customs operation is implemented in 2025, all imported goods outside the list of imported taxable goods will be exempt from import tariffs on the basis of a simplified tax system. This is the final institutional arrangement to achieve zero tariffs, this person said. At present, Hainan is in the transitional stage from a positive plus negative list to a negative list on the zero tariff list. The first zero tariff list was implemented on December 1, 2020. At present, a negative list of self-use production equipment, a positive list of transportation vehicles and yachts, and a positive list of raw materials have been announced. The positive list of imported goods consumed by island residents has not yet been released. According to a report by the local Hainan Daily, in response to the question of eating duty-free steaks and drinking duty-free red wine in the bonded port area of Yangpu Economic Development Zone, Hainan customs officials stated that according to the relevant regulatory measures issued by the General Administration of Customs, residents and the establishment of profitable commercial facilities in the Yangpu bonded port area are not prohibited. At present, relevant departments are studying the implementation measures, and they will officially implement them after the demonstration is mature and the regulatory conditions are met. According to the current policy, commercial living facilities are generally not allowed to be built in special regulatory areas. The relevant policy changes are also considered quite rare, and are expected to help Hainan become a consumer paradise. Planning in Hong Kong. According to relevant data, in 2019, Chinese people consumed about 40% of the world's duty-free goods, with the overall scale of duty-free goods purchased overseas exceeding 180 billion yuan. The total sales of duty-free shops in Hainan in 2021 were approximately 60 billion yuan, equivalent to one-third of the total overseas duty-free shopping consumption of Chinese consumers in 2019. As mentioned earlier, the growth of this number is both related to policy dividends and affected by the epidemic. After the continuous relaxation of international and regional travel policies, Hainan will directly face competition from well-known shopping paradises, such as Singapore and Hong Kong, China. To stimulate consumption, Hong Kong, China's current short-term measure is to attract tourists to visit Hong Kong through organizing events. The West Kowloon Cultural District M+ Museum and the Hong Kong Palace Museum, which were completed during the epidemic, are also expected to become new check-in destinations for tourists. The picture shows the Tsim Sha Tsui area where passengers are gradually increasing in February. Photographed by Jiao Jian, a journalist from Kaijing. Compared with the later developed Hainan, Hong Kong, which has been a free port for over a century, has long had a series of advantages such as zero tariffs. The current duty-free mode of tourism retail shopping implemented by it is also different from that of Singapore. For example, in Singapore, only airports are exempt from taxes, and in the city, consumption tax is only refunded to foreign tourists if certain conditions are met. Compared to this, the tax exemption in Hong Kong, China covers a wider range of regions and areas, only for a few products such as tobacco and alcohol. The advantages of Hong Kong, China, are its fewer tax types and lower tax rates. In addition to low shopping prices, foreign tourists also have tax-free advantages in certain consumption areas such as catering and daily services. However, due to the high cost of local rent and labor, the related advantages are not reflected in the final service price field. For more tourists aiming at shopping, the tax exemption policies of Hong Kong and Hainan have their own advantages. The former's retail channels include large comprehensive shopping centers such as Harbour City, as well as community convenience stores, pharmacies and other retail channels, and the network can be described as diverse. After opening 2 new offshore duty-free stores in October 2022, the latter currently only has 12 duty-free stores in Haikou, Sanya, Chiang Mai, and other places. Compared to Hainan, passengers currently adopt a policy of no more than 5,000 yuan in tax exemption when entering the mainland from Hong Kong, China. Compared to Hainan, the tax exemption of 100,000 yuan is higher. However, in the specific implementation process, Hong Kong does not limit the number of passengers. Therefore, for some individuals with multiple round-trip visas, the total amount can also be increased as the frequency of shopping increases. With the resumption of comprehensive customs clearance between mainland China and Hong Kong, as well as the lifting of epidemic prevention measures such as the mask order, popular tourist areas such as Tsim Sha Tsui and Causeway Bay have once again experienced a surge of tourists. According to the figures from the local Tourism Development Bureau, there were approximately 1.46 million visitors to Hong Kong in February, which is the first time since the epidemic that a single month of visitors has exceeded 1 million. It is also twice the total number of visitors in 2022, and equivalent to 30% of the monthly passenger volume before the epidemic. According to the Bureau's prediction, the number of visitors to Hong Kong this year will reach 25.8 million, approximately 46% of the pre-pandemic level. It is estimated that 75% of these visitors will be from mainland China. It is expected that the number of visitors to Hong Kong will grow rapidly in the second half of the year, and it is expected to return to about 60% of the pre-pandemic level by the end of the year. On March 31st, relevant data released by the Statistics Department of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government showed that the local retail sales in February were temporarily estimated to be 33.1 billion Hong Kong dollars, an increase of 31.3% year-on-year, far exceeding the market expectation of 15%, and the strongest monthly increase since February 2010. But compared to the past, its sales amount is still lower than the average monthly level of 40 billion yuan in 2018, before the epidemic. The phenomenon of prosperous Ding, but not prosperous Kai, needs to be addressed. To stimulate consumption, Hong Kong, China's current short-term measure is to attract tourists to visit Hong Kong through organizing events. For example, since March, several large-scale events such as the Clockenflap Music and Art Festival and the Basel Art Exhibition have been held. In addition, the West Kowloon Cultural District M+ Museum and the Hong Kong Palace Museum, which were completed during the epidemic, are also expected to become new check-in destinations for mainland tourists. In the short term, the shortage of labor force due to aging population and other reasons in the local area has also begun to have an impact on the tourism consumption industry in the near future. From a medium to long-term perspective, Hong Kong also faces hidden concerns of declining competitiveness. A recent survey by consulting firm McKinsey shows that out of 1,100 mainland cities in the Greater Bay Area who are interested in visiting Hong Kong in the next year, 15% expect to reduce their consumption in Hong Kong and switch to Hainan or Macau to purchase luxury goods in the next 3 years. Although there are numerous big brands, the lack of novelty and characteristics has been a hidden concern in the tourism consumption industry of Hong Kong, China in recent years. Not only Hainan, but also its neighboring Macau Special Administrative Region in China, have shown a sudden rise in recent years with the development of new formats. Many Hong Kong citizens also enjoy shopping in Macau on weekends, which has led to frequent reports of overcrowding of the Golden Bus connecting the two cities via the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. The shopping malls in Macau often combine large resorts, entertainment, cuisine, and shopping, each with its own unique features. During the epidemic, Hong Kong also opened some so-called amusement facilities, which are not only much smaller than those in Macau, but also lack novelty. Ms. Zhou, a Hong Kong citizen who just went to Macau to spend the weekend with her son in March, said, in the 3 years of the epidemic, no one has gone out just to gather in the excitement of discounted shopping.